All right, today we're pulling back the curtain and spending a day with one of the most important and maybe most invisible people in our digital lives, the cloud administrator. Let's really see what their day is like. You tap on an app, you stream a movie, you jump on a video call, and it all just works. But have you ever stopped to think about what it takes to make all that happen? Well, behind that magic is a real person, a hero of the digital age, who's constantly building, managing, and most importantly, protecting the very infrastructure that powers our entire connected world. So let's meet our protagonist for the day, an Azure cloud administrator. And I want you to forget that old stereotype of some IT person stuck in a server closet. Nope. Think of them more like a digital architect, the person who designs and maintains these massive, sprawling digital cities that we all basically live in. Yeah, their entire job is to take the incredible, almost unimaginable power of a cloud platform like Microsoft Azure and actually harness it. They use these global-scale tools to build environments that are both secure and reliable, for everything from a tiny startup's new app to the entire worldwide operation of a huge corporation. Okay, so our admin's day, it doesn't actually start with building cool new stuff. It starts with security, always. Before anything else happens, they've got to check the gates, they have to make sure the walls are secure, and they have to verify that only the right people have the right keys. And the main gatekeeper in the Azure world, that's a service called Entra ID. Now, you might actually know it by its old name, Azure AD. Its job is pretty simple, but absolutely critical. It's basically the bouncer for the cloud. It checks everyone's ID, that's called authentication, and then it decides who gets into which room, and that's authorization. And you can see here, this is a really key evolution in how we think about this stuff. The old way on premises was built for a physical office building. It was pretty rigid. But Entra ID, it's built for the world we live in now, the work from anywhere world. It's way more flexible, and it uses modern web protocols to keep you secure no matter where you're logging in from. So how do you defend against the single most common attack out there? Someone stealing a password? Well, the answer is multi-factor authentication, or MFA. The idea is so simple. Your password is the first key to the lock, but to actually open the door, you need a second key, something only you have, like a code that gets sent to your phone. It's such a tiny extra step for you, the user, but it's a giant leap for security. We're talking about blocking over 99.9% of these kinds of attacks. It's a huge deal. All right, so the gates are secure, the perimeter is checked. Now the day's real work can begin. A brand new project just came in, and our admin has to build it a home in the cloud, literally from the digital ground up. So first things first, you gotta stay organized. I mean, you could have hundreds of different services running. How do you keep it all from becoming a total mess? Well, you use something called a resource group. The best way to think of it is just like a project folder on your computer. All the different pieces for one project. The virtual machines, the databases, the networks, they all go into one single folder. It makes them super easy to manage, to monitor, and hey, even to delete all at once when the project's over. Okay, so you've got your folder. But inside that folder, you have all these different services that need to talk to each other. Like a web server needs to get information from a database. And you can't just have them shouting at each other across the public internet for everyone to hear. You need a private, secure line of communication. And here's how they do it. It's a two-step process. First, they create a virtual network, or VNet for short. This basically carves out a big private chunk of the cloud just for their project. Then, inside that space, they create subnets, which are like smaller, more isolated networks within the big one. This way, they can stick all their web servers in one subnet and their really sensitive databases in another, and then control exactly who is allowed to talk to whom. It's super secure. Now, our admin has to make a really important choice. How much of the underlying stuff do they actually want to manage? They could go with infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, which gives them the most control. They manage the virtual servers themselves. Or they could pick platform as a service, PaaS, where Microsoft handles the servers and they just worry about their code. Or they can just use software as a service, SaaS, like Office 365, where they just use the app and manage pretty much nothing at all. And this right here, this quote gets to the absolute magic of the cloud. I mean, in the old days, if you needed a new server with more memory, it was a whole ordeal. Paperwork, approvals, waiting for it to be physically installed, it took weeks. But in the cloud, upgrading a machine from 32 to 64 gigs of RAM is literally a single click. That kind of speed completely changes the game. The speed is just incredible. But you know what they say, with great power comes great responsibility. The infrastructure is built, but our admin's job is far from over. I mean, building the castle is one thing. Defending it is a constant 24/7 battle. It requires a perpetual watch on those digital walls. And just like that, it happens. A high-priority alert flashes on the screen. Something is wrong. This is the moment where an admin's skill and calm under pressure are really put to the test. They look at their dashboard, which is powered by Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and it gives them this secure score. And right now, it's at 50%. Yikes. Think of this number as a real-time report card for their security. And a score this low means there are some serious problems that need to be fixed, like right now. So to figure out what's going on, our admin turns to their most powerful investigative tool, Microsoft Sentinel. The best way to think of this thing is as a security detective. First, it collects all the clues, that's log data, from everywhere. Then it uses AI to detect suspicious patterns in those clues. After that, it investigates, creating this whole trail of evidence. And finally, it helps automate the response to neutralize the threat. And Sentinel finds something chilling. The logs show a successful login. But this wasn't just any login. No, it came from a known malicious anonymous IP address, and the attacker was using a Tor browser to try and hide their location. This is a classic signature of a really sophisticated attack. And thanks to Sentinel, our admin can see the entire attack chain and start taking action immediately. So, as the day starts to wind down and the fire's put out, let's just take a step back. As we've seen, the role of a cloud administrator is incredibly dynamic. They aren't just managing servers. They are architects, they're security experts, and they're strategists, all rolled into one. You really need a vast and varied skill set for this job. We saw them act as a bouncer, managing who gets in with identity management. They were a city planner, building the digital roads with network architecture. They were a detective, defending the castle with security operations. And woven through all of this is the constant pressure to be a good accountant, using cost management to make sure this powerful machine is also efficient. They're not just builders, they're so much more. Which brings us to the big question. Is the cloud really just someone else's computer? Or, as we've seen today through the eyes of our cloud admin, is it maybe something more? Is it the actual blueprint for how our entire digital world will be built, secured, and imagined for years to come? What do you think?